Now, if WPS is disabled on your target network, or if it's enabled but configured to use push button or PBC, then the method that I showed you in the previous lecture will not work. Therefore, you will have to go and crack the actual WPA or WPA2 encryption. And like I said, when these encryptions were designed, the developers knew about the weaknesses in WEP and they made sure that they properly fixed these weaknesses. They actually did a pretty good job at this. Therefore, we cannot use the same method used in WEP to crack WPA and WPA2. So in WPA2, the keys are unique, they're temporary, they're much longer than what they were in WEP. Therefore, the packets sent in the air contain no information that is useful for us. So it doesn't matter, even if we capture 1 million packets, we can't use them to crack the key. The only packets that contain useful information are the handshake packets. These are 4 packets transferred between a client and the router when the client connects to the network. So, in this lecture, I'm going to show you how to capture these packets, and in the next lectures, we'll see how to use them to crack the WPA or WPA2 key. First of all, as usual, you'd want to run aerodump-ng against all the networks around you. I've already done that, and as you can see, this is my target right here. It's using WPA2, and this is the MAC address. I'm going to copy it. And the first thing we'll do is just run aerodump-ng on this network and store the data in a file, exactly the same way that we used to do it with WEP. So we're just going to do aerodump-ng --bssid and give it the BSSID of my target, --channel, and give it the channel of my target, which is 1, --write, to specify a file name to store all the data that we're going to capture in. And let's call this WPA handshake, because we're going to capture the handshake. And finally, we're going to give it my wireless adapter in monitor mode, which is mon0. So very simple command. We've done this multiple times by now. We're using aerodump-ng. We're giving it the MAC address of my target after the BSSID. I'm giving it --channel to specify the channel of my target. I'm using --write to store all the data in a file. This file will contain everything that we capture. So if we capture the handshake, it will be in this file. And finally, I'm giving it the name of my wireless adapter in monitor mode. So now I'm going to hit enter. And as you can see, aerodump-ng is working against my target network. And right now, all we have to do is literally sit down and wait for the handshake to be captured. Like I said, the handshake is sent when a client connects to the network. So we'll literally have to sit down and wait until a new client connects to the network. Once a new client connects, we will capture the handshake, and you will see in here aerodump telling us that the handshake has been captured. Alternatively, we can use something that we learned before, which is a deauthentication attack. We know using that attack, we can disconnect a client from the network. So we can do this for a very short period of time. We can disconnect this client from the network. He will automatically connect once we stop the attack. Therefore, when he automatically connects, the handshake will be sent in the air and we will be able to capture it. This way, we will not have to sit down and wait for someone to voluntarily connect to the network. So, we've seen how to do this before, and it's going to be exactly the same command as we did it before. We used areplay-ng, we did --deauth, then we specified a really large number of packets to keep the client disconnected for a long period of time. This time I'm going to set this to 4 to only send 4 deauthentication packets. This way, my client will be disconnected for a very short period of time. They won't even feel that they got disconnected, but this is enough for the handshake to be sent because they will be disconnected, they will automatically connect, and when they do that, we will capture the handshake. Now, the next argument we want to set is the MAC address of my target. So we're going to do -A followed by the MAC address of my target. Then we're going to do -C followed by the MAC address of the client that we want to disconnect. So it's this client right here. I'm going to copy, paste it here, and finally, we're going to give it the name of my wireless adapter in monitor mode, which is Mon0. And we are done. Again, I've spent a full lecture on this command explaining what a deauthentication attack is, so if it's a bit confusing, please go back and revise that lecture. Basically, all we're doing is we're using AReplay-NG to run a deauthentication attack to disconnect this device for a very short period of time. That's why I'm setting this to only number 4. Then I'm using -A to specify the MAC address of my target, -C to specify the MAC address of the client connected to this network, and then I'm giving it my wireless adapter in monitor mode. Now I'm going to hit enter and keep an eye on this side right here. You'll see the handshake will be captured in here. So we're going to hit enter, deauthentication packets are being sent, and perfect. As you can see, once the client connected again, we received the handshake. So now we can quit aerodump-ng, so Control-C, because we have the handshake now. It is stored in the file that we set after the write option, which is called WPA handshake. And in the next lecture, I'll show you how this handshake can be used to get the key for the network.